So I'm going to start this video saying I was going through their presentation for Microsoft, and I started to realize very quickly, if I spent time on every single game that they were showing, it was going to be like an hour-long video. They showed a lot of games. Now, not all games were theirs exclusively, or, well, anything even away from multi-plat for the most part, but they did have some stuff that was at least exclusive to the Xbox and Microsoft Store, I guess is what they're going to say, or just Windows 10 in general. But they also left, at least for me, one big question mark that I at least want to go over, because I've talked to you guys several times about some of my favorite franchises that Microsoft technically owns, and they showed us something that I got really excited for. You guys saw it on stream, but I don't know anything else about it. Like, it was the biggest. E3 is the time where you tease and then explain, and they didn't even explain it. They just did a massive tease. So let's jump into this entire presentation. There's a lot of stuff to go over. First off, they told us right off the bat, we're going to see 50 games total. Like, they said 50 games. You're going to have 18 world or just exclusives, and then 15 world premiere exclusives, how they called it. So it's going to premiere, and you're going to see it for the first time. And that definitely did not include all just Microsoft stuff, because they had all third parties on deck. Seriously, they had Japanese developers, because they actually showed some games with Japanese influences, which is great because they definitely needed something there. And one of the games that I talked about actually on Twitter did show up there. So let's go down some of their first party stuff. We of course saw Halo, which is the one I have a big question mark about. We're going to go over here in a second. Crackdown 3, which actually they did say on Twitter, Crackdown 3 is coming out February 22nd. That means that Days Gone, Anthem, Metro Exodus, and Crackdown 3 are all hitting on the same day. That is crazy, by the way. Forza Horizon 4, which does take place in the UK, Gears of War 5, and Gears of War Tactics, and then there's also a Gears of War mobile game. And then I'm going to throw in Ori Will of the Wisp, because I do relate that to Xbox and Microsoft specifically at this point, probably because The Blind Forest was one that I played on the Xbox. I know people played it on their PC as well, but I think Ori, I think Xbox. Maybe that's just me, but that's just kind of where I see that. The big question mark here, Halo. Crackdown 3 at least looked like Crackdown, right? They even put Terry Crews in the game. Cool. Halo. That was the one that I'm a little confused about. They showed us the trailer, they showed us the title, Halo Infinite. And originally the rumor was Halo Infinity, so yeah, this is basically that. And I looked at it and I said, okay, what is it? What are we looking at here? Because it looked, when I first saw it, like it was a Halo massive multiplayer battle royale, because they showed Chief with his helmet, and then it kind of zooms in and shows someone on the mongoose, and then it kind of zooms out, and it looks like a big map, right? I was looking at it and I said, okay. And then later on Twitter, people are talking about how, it looks like Halo 6, it's Halo 6, and okay, that could be it, but they didn't say Halo 6. Generally, we have a numbered series, Halo 1 through 5. It literally is just Halo Infinite, and I was thinking that maybe the idea is this can be their service-based Halo game going forward, and they don't have to continue developing Halo after Halo after Halo. They can do what they kind of did with 5 and build on top of it with the multiplayer setup, where they introduce new modes, new maps, things like that. And of course, they'll get their microtransactions out of it. That's kind of what I was thinking. But then I also had the feeling that we didn't see Battle Royale for Gears of War. Maybe Halo is going to attack the Battle Royale scene, but the trailer just was not specific. It got me excited, obviously, because Halo. I was expecting a Halo 6 screen to show up. We get Halo Infinite, and that was kind of about it. And again, Halo should be teased at E3, but it should also be explained. This just tells me it's certainly not a 2018 game. It's more than likely holiday of 2019, and that's kind of what Microsoft did a lot of. They showed a lot of games that are coming out 2019, and I think they showed some third parties that are coming out this year, which is cool, but man, Halo would have been awesome to at least get a look at. Instead, we got gameplay for other games like The Division 2 and Forza Horizon 4, which we know Horizon 4 is coming out this year, so okay, that makes sense. I believe that's October 3rd. On Game Pass, too, by the way. It's October 3rd or October 2nd. It depends, I think, where in the world you are. But yeah, it's going to be around there. And Halo just would have been so cool to see at least demoed, because they did do live demos on stage. The third-party presence was absolutely there. And the Xbox One X is obviously the powerhouse, and while you don't technically need an Xbox to play a lot of their first-party games, some of the third-party games you do. Kingdom Hearts 3, as far as I can tell, is not going to the PC, and that's obviously going to play the best on the Xbox One X. And we don't even know if something like Shadows Die Twice, which was also shown there, is going to PC as well. But there is a lot of third-party support there. It was pretty cool to see some of these announcements for the first time. It was on Microsoft stage, so again, big ups to them. But the third-party games that I really saw and took notice of were things like Devil May Cry 5, Shadows Die Twice, Cyberpunk 2077, which we're going to talk about here in a minute as well, Just Cause 4, we kind of know about that. The Division 2, they showed gameplay, and it is set in Washington, D.C. from what we can tell. Dying Light 2, Session, that one got me because that looked like Skate 4 for a minute, and then it was Session, which was a Kickstarter that it appears Microsoft threw some money at and now has it for Xbox and I guess Windows. And then we did see some in-game, or at least just a trailer for Fallout 76. We're going to find out more about that at Bethesda's presser here in a little bit. It's great to see Devil May Cry 5 actually return. Well, I say return. We had Devil May Cry a bit ago, I think 2013. A lot of people weren't into that. They didn't like it as much. We had Devil May Cry 4, which is one a lot of people kept playing. They're waiting for that numbered series. Here it is, Devil May Cry 5, and I think it's going to be really good. The thing is, it's not really known as much as an Xbox game, so it was interesting to see that debut on Xbox's stage. But again, it's just Microsoft did some pull here and got a lot of games to show. Cyberpunk. That's the one that if you're going to buy it, you're probably, honestly, if you're hardcore, you're probably getting on PC, right? Because they use CD Projekt Red generally develops for PC first and then puts it on consoles and everything. They've gone back to things like the original Witcher and even Witcher 2, which I think was only on the 360, was really in their mind PC first. But an Xbox One X is probably best way to play it if you're not going to play it on PC. And it was there, and man, that game looks awesome. I was getting Blade Runner feels, I was getting Fifth Element feels, and it's gonna be cool. Like seriously, with how in-depth the Witcher 3 world was, and they're gonna go futuristic and make it in that scene. Oh man, I really hope CD Projekt Red has some serious gameplay. I'm sure press is gonna get a chance to have some hands-on time behind closed doors with it. And I'm really curious to see what the world looks like, how big it is, and really how, I guess, immersive it is in that kind of a world. We know it's been in development for quite a while now. I think they tweeted back in like 2013. So we know it's been in development probably for like 5, maybe 6 years even. It's been a while. But Cyberpunk's going to be awesome, and I hope we just get to see more of it at E3. We did have Japanese support. I told you guys before we went in, they need to at least get something that they can show. Last year, I know they debuted, or at least they showed Dragon Ball FighterZ quite a bit on their stage, and that was multiplat, but it was still interesting to see Microsoft go out there and say, you know, we have Japanese interests for the gaming world, but it's tough for them to get anything extremely exclusive because they don't sell that well in Japan. So a lot of Japanese developers probably want a lot of money up front because they're just not going to sell much on the Xbox compared to obviously the PlayStation, where it has a over 6 million install base. Now the Switch, which has been building up now over 4 million. So we do see some Japanese support. They did have, which was very interesting, Jump Force. Now this is a game that reminded me a bit of Xenoverse in terms of fighting, but it does include a lot of different IPs from the anime world, which obviously you saw Dragon Ball, you saw Naruto, and then you saw One Piece, and I'm sure there's going to be several others as well. Tales of Vesperia is getting a definitive edition. We talked about that before. Makes a ton of sense to debut it on Microsoft stage because that's what we know it on, the 360. But I will say this one does appear to be multi-platform across the board because Amazon even listed, and actually Bandai Namco I think even listed, a Switch version, or at least a Switch announcement, and then they were quickly deleted or removed. So more than likely Nintendo's going to show that in their showcase, in their direct. It makes sense. It was a 360 game. It can definitely go to all platforms. If you want 4K on the Xbox One X or the PlayStation 4 Pro, you can do it. Or if you want it to be portable on the Switch, you can do that as well. So I was cool with that. Nier Automata also is coming to the Xbox. Good announcement. I like that Nier is getting some shine here because Nier did pass 3 million units. And from what I remember, this did save Platinum Games. And it's just cool to see this series, this game really get I guess the exposure, the spotlight that it deserves. And I do think it'll probably get another 500,000, I would say, from the Xbox crowd, just because I think there's a lot of people who missed out on the PlayStation that they're Xbox exclusive, and now they have really a look at this, and it's going to play the best out of between that and the PlayStation on the X. They did have some information about Game Pass. I know they were putting Fallout 4, they did the Elder Scrolls Online, a few others, but The other interesting thing was they show Master Chief Collection, they talk about the patch briefly, very briefly, and then they do talk about it going to Game Pass later on this year, probably alongside that patch. They don't want to put it on there when it's broken, I get that, but the fact that Master Chief Collection is going there, it sounds crazy. That could be one of their bigger releases later on this year. I'm not kidding, I know, it came out a while ago. The patch that could be fixing it will be key. And if they can get that out there and it's on Game Pass, I'm excited because that will give that game second life to really build back up the player base with Gamer Pass, and it's going to be great to see that. Now, let's talk about Microsoft buying studios because they went on a bit of a shopping spree. We had a lot of rumors about them buying Playground Games and just pretty much absorbing them into Microsoft Studios. Of course, they will be their own thing. Playground, they're very talented with Forza and everything. Yes, that's happening. They announced several acquisitions. I was a little surprised at some of these, but here we go. Playground Games, that is absolutely happening. They did acquire them. They opened a new studio in Santa Monica called The Initiative, and that's led by Daryl Gallagher, who is actually the former head of Crystal Dynamics. Undead Labs was purchased. Compulsion Games, who did We Happy Few, was purchased. And then Ninja Theory from Hellblade was purchased by Microsoft. This is interesting. This is fascinating actually to see this because they went from like the morning before I was like, man, Microsoft doesn't have a lot of studios first party. It's dry out there for the first parties. They're pretty much having mercenaries and other companies do this for them, and then they add 5 studios like that to their holster there. They have 5 studios now. And listen, this is not a short-term announcement. I don't think this is going to yield a ton for the Xbox One that we know now. I think this is mostly for the next Xbox, the Xbox 2, if you will. That's what this announcement's for. It's for the future, and it shows that they are invested in the Xbox. And it's going to be pretty cool going forward. Of course, if you're a PC user, this should also excite you because those games tend to go to the PC as well, as you know. So it's going to be really fun. They did mention another project the Playground's working on. I'm pretty confident it's Fable, and I think that will be an Xbox 2 game, if you want to call it that. Obviously PC as well, but with the current landscape of video cards being kind of pricey, and NVIDIA even talking about how they don't really have a lot of plans for any video cards coming soon, I mean, honestly, the Xbox might be a better way in right now than PC gaming just because it's cheaper. They also did this interesting announcement kind of at the end a bit, before the Cyberpunk trailer that they showed, which was a really cool spot, by the way, because they were signing off and it looked like someone took over and everything, but they announced under the radar kind of that their next system is essentially in development, and it was kind of weird to hear that just kind of just put it out there, as they're kind of talking. I think they wanted to promise that is happening. And here's the thing, with the timetable of the Scorpio, I'm starting to get a feeling that 2020 holiday is realistic for these systems, which means, based on what Microsoft did with the Scorpio or the Xbox One X as we know now, they could be announcing it next E3. Because remember, they had a 1.5 year build up to that Scorpio release, Xbox One X as we know now. So I do think next E3 we could see them out on stage with their next system, their next Xbox. And that could be fun because they do have their backwards compatibility across the board pretty much they're going to go forward with. So it won't really matter if they put games out 2019 because, you can play those on the Xbox too. So that's actually great to hear. Now, would it slow down sales of the Xbox? Maybe, but of course, if you have things like Halo Infinite launching, Gears 5, which we assume is next year, it could be this year. That's the thing. Those release dates weren't given yet. We'll see if they do come out. But I have to say, overall, this presentation is probably the best E3 live Microsoft presentation that they've ever done. It was hard-hitting, it was fast, the talking segments were small, and it was, did they mess up anything? I honestly don't think they messed anything up. Occasionally, Phil Spencer would have an issue talking or stutter or miss a teleprompter line, but it wasn't crazy, and I think this is one of the better live presentations. It was game after game after trailer after gameplay after trailer. It was all over the place, and it was 50 games. It was awesome. I liked this presentation. For live presentations, this was great. Nintendo moved away from that a while ago. Sony appears to be moving away from it, but Microsoft's keeping it going, and they did a great job. So whether you like the games or not, or which there are a lot of games, I don't know how you can't find one game that you like, or you like the Xbox or not, you have to at least tip your hat to Microsoft for having a good presentation. I just wish I knew a little more about Halo. I assume I'll just find out later on this year a little more, maybe Gamescom, I don't know, we'll see. But we'll also probably get a full gameplay demonstration of it next E3 if it's not already shown in some way before that. So it's going to be fun, and we'll see. Inside Xbox, you know, that could have some gameplay for it. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. Dislike it if not. Let me know what you think about the Xbox presentation down below. Make sure you guys get subscribed so you get all the E3 gaming coverage and everything. We're going to be live streaming all of them, and of course, doing wrap-ups, and they'll also make their way into Newswave. It's going to be a fun couple of days, guys, so let's have a good time at E3, and enjoy the games and announcement, guys, and I'll see you next time.